Hello everyone and welcome to AutoEnter Live. My name is Javier Dura and I will talk for a while about NFC cards. But first, a few words about me. I live in Valencia, Spain, and I am consultant and trainer in my company called AutoEnter, certified in version 11, and I also have a website called FileMakerMagazine.es where I publish video tutorials in Spanish about the Claris platform. So this is our agenda for today. First, I will explain what is an NFC tag, then what we need to use them, and finally, and this is the fun part, some use cases combining NFC tags and FileMaker. NFC stands for Near Field Communication. It's a radio technology that enables data to be transmitted between devices over a short distance. It's particularly secure because it requires the immediate proximity of transmitter and receiver. So what do we need? Obviously, first of all, we need some NFC tags. You can buy in different sizes, capacities, colors, for example. You can use these ones that come in several colors, which is nice. Also, we have those ones that are blank cards, but they can be printed, which is cool. Or even you can buy these little stickers. The NFC tag is inside, then you can paste it anywhere. Second, we have to write data into these cards. You can use your iPhone with an app, but I think it's much more convenient to use this tool, which is an NFC reader and writer. It comes with a regular USB-A port and it has no driver. Just connect into your computer and you are ready to go. Third, obviously, we need a tool to read these cards. Today, we are using an iPhone 13, but please remember that iPads cannot read NFC cards. And finally, some software. Today, we are using an app called NFC Tools and, of course, FileMaker Go 19. Let's start with a simple example. Let's say that we want to have a more sophisticated business card. Regular paper cards are old-fashioned. So let's make our personal V card. I open my Contacts app and I will export my own card as a V card. We say export V card and we say save. That's it. Unfortunately, the only NFC tag option that iOS devices allow us to use is URLs. So I will upload my card to my website. I change this name, VCF, that's it. And I will upload to my server to this address. I'm using Squarespace, so the final URL will be this one. Let's write our first NFC tag. Let's put this tiny little tag into the writer. Then we get some information here. We click Write, Add Record, Custom URL, and then we paste the URL where our card is hosted. We say OK, we click Write, and that's it. Our tag has been written. So now let's do something weird. We can use our regular paper card to paste this sticker like this. Now let's use some glue to put together another business card like this. Okay, that's it. So now we have our regular card, but with an NFC tag inside. Let's test it. Let's bring the card closer to the iPhone. We do like this. We tap in the Safari notification, and boom, this is my card. That's cool, but it doesn't look really professional. I think it's a better idea to buy one of these plastic ones and print it with the same design that we have in the paper one. In fact, we don't have to give our customer the car. We just have to show it close to the iPhone. Okay, that's cool. Let's move forward. Let's use it with FileMaker Go. Let's say that for some reason I have to take 2 pills every day, and I don't want to forget to do it, and I want to remember if I took the pills or not. This is something that sometimes happens. So I have here a FileMaker database that has a table called pills. So I want to record a tag with this long URL. The reason is that I will use the FMP protocol to run a script in this database that will be in my iPhone. So you can read here that I'm using the FMP protocol. This symbol means that I will launch a file that is in the device. The file is called intakes, and I will run a script called new. I'm sending a parameter. This parameter is the UUID of the pill I'm taking. So let's record this one. I say copy, put the tag here, say write, add record, custom URL, we paste it, paste, okay, and write. Cool. So now I'm gonna paste this little tag here into the top. Here we are. That's it. Okay. So now every time I take my pill, I will scan this tag with my iPhone. Let's do it. Okay, we have our iPhone here, we have our pills, so we put them together, we get this notification, we tap on it, and boom, our new record is created. Let's go to FileMaker Pro and I will explain how it works. The file we are using is really simple. It has a pills table with name, the long URL, photo, and obviously the ID. This ID is the one that we are using in our parameter. Then we have the intakes table. We are creating new records in this table, and this is the user layout. Let's have a look to the script copy stage. In this script, the new is the one that we are running. We take as a parameter the ID, we create the new record, and we set field in the ID pill field. That's it. There's nothing else to do. Create a new record and set field with the ID. I include another script called today that will help me to find only the records that have been created today. So if I click here in this little calendar, I get just one record that tells me that I took my energy pill today. That's it. So simple. Now, let's start working with NFC tags, but from FileMaker Go. My first advice would be, please read the documentation. Every time we start working with a new script step, it's more than convenient to read all the information that Claris provides us. So here we are in the Claris FileMaker Pro 19 help, and we search for configure NFC reading. Here you will get all the data you need to start working with this script step. Very important, compatibility. This step is only available for FileMaker Go, no FileMaker Pro, no WebDirect. You can read the description, all the data you will get when you read an NFC card, some examples. You can get data in JSON or in regular text, and of course, very interesting, some notes. So let's start recording an NFC tag by thinking in FileMaker Go. Let's close this website and we put the tag here. We will add several records to this tag. We will use the text and we will say, for example, alpha, okay, We will add a new text, will be Bravo. Okay, and then a third one that obviously it will be Charlie. Okay. Now we are ready to write this data into our tag. We say write and it's done. We click OK and we are ready to go. I have created a really simple file to test and to explain what we get when we read this tag. So now let's use our iPhone to read this tag and let's see what happens. I have created this file, which is really simple, and it will help us to understand how FileMaker Go reads data from NFC tags. So we have a button that will read information as text and another one that will read information as JSON. Let's move to this layout so we will see what happens. We will start reading NFC tag as text. We click here, text, and this information now is in this text field. Let's do the same but with the other button using JSON. We click JSON, we read the tag like this, and the information is here. Now let's see what we got in these fields. Once we have information in our fields, what we need is to get this data, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. So after these lines, we see that we get Alpha in line number 6, Bravo in line number 10, and Charlie in line number 14. So the easiest way we have to retrieve this data is using a function. Let's open our data viewer here, which is get value. So we can get value from line number 6, number 10, and number 14. And then we get Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Obviously, I think this is not the more convenient way to do this, because if we can use JSON, it will be much more easier. Here, we see that information is here in primary, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. So we can use our JSON getElement function to get this data. We can write down the function like this with payloads 0 and primary. If we use 0, we get Alpha. If we use 1, we get Bravo. And obviously, if we use number 2, we get Charlie. So whatever you do, you can get this data from here. Let's have a look to the scripts and how can we read this information. When we tap in this button, we are running this script called scan NFC text. And all we are doing here is running a script step that reads the car. And then we send data via script parameter to a second script. In this case, it's called subscript retrieve data text. So let's check which option do we have here. First of all, we have to specify what's our subscript, in this case, this one. Then we can write timeout in seconds. It means that our iPhone will wait for 10 seconds. After that period of time, it will stop reading. We can say that we want to have a continuous reading, and here we can specify if we want the result as JSON. As it's empty, the result will be as text. So FileMaker Go will read the tag and will send data as a script parameter to this other script. This is really simple. We have set field in this field result text using the getScript parameter. Then we commit records. That's it. If we tap this other button, JSON, we are doing more or less the same thing. We are reading the script, we are sending this data to this other script, timeout 10, and we are saying that yes, with this one, which means true, I want to run this script, but the result will be in JSON, and obviously we are setting field in this other text field called result.json. We have another option that says configure NFC reading action cancel. If we start reading a tag and we want to cancel anytime, we can do this using this option. But in this option, you say that you want only 10 seconds. You don't need to turn the reader off. So that's it. That's the essential part of reading NFC tags. Now what we know how to use this script step, let's go to the use case right now. Let's say I'm giving a party for my friends, but I want to set an access control. So my friends will receive an NFC tag that will allow them to go into the party. So I printed some tags for my friends. This one is for Tom. I print it both sizes. I have another card for my friend Sarah. Here it is. And finally, a third card for my friend John. In every record, I have two text fields. This one is the ID for the card. Every card has its own ID. And then, obviously, I have my UUID for every FileMaker record. So now, I will record every card with this information, the ID card and the UUID for my guest. Let's write Sarah's card. First, obviously, we put the card into the writer. Now we are copying the ID card. This information is available here in the Information tab, 0400. I took the opportunity to copy this data into this field. So now we just copy, and then we create here a new record. We say add record, text, we paste it, OK. Then we'll do the same, but with the UUID. This field, probably you know it. We are using a calculated value specified by this UUID. Really simple. So we copy this data, we add a record, text record, we paste, OK. And finally, we just have to click the write button. That's it. Our record has been recorded. If we go to the Information tab, we can check that this data is recorded. Here, the ID from the card, and here, the ID from our UUID. So my party is about to begin. Tom, John, and Sarah are coming, so I want to control that they are not already inside. So I have this layout in my iPhone, and I will start reading my NFC tags. I tap here, I put Sarah's card, and I get a confirmation that say, welcome Sarah. And this is her picture. Cool. Now let's read another one. I'm doing exactly the same. I tap here. This is John. Welcome, John. And finally, we are reading Tom's card. Here we are. Okay, but let's say that Tom is already inside, but someone is using his card again. What will happen is that when we check the card again, we get a notification that say guest is already inside, which is cool. So now let's see what's going on inside the FileMaker file, and I will explain which scripts we are using and how can we control who is inside and who is outside. In this particular file, we have 3 layouts and 2 tables. This layout is only for my iPhone. I have this button to start reading my NFC tag. This one is to write all the data from our guest. I have a regular text field for the name, I have the ID card, and I have my UUID. This Boolean field will help me to know if Sarah is inside or outside. By default, this field has a 0, but when I read the tag, I move this one from 0 to 1, like this. That's it. So, I have, as I mentioned, two tables. One table is called technique, and here is where I will store data from the tag. I just need three different text fields. Data, where we got our JSON, and then I have two additional fields that will get information from here and from here. I need to have in different fields the ID from the car and the UUID. Obviously, I'm not using any calculation field. I don't need them. So, if I check this field, car ID, it has a calculated value. I click specify, and as I mentioned before, I can retrieve this data using the JSON getElement function. Using this 0, because JSON is base 0, I will get the car ID. Then I'm doing more or less the same to get the UUID. Same function, same field, but here I'm using a 1. So I can get the car ID. So as soon as I fill this field, I get data from the JSON. Obviously, I'm using regular fields because I need to explain how it works, but in your solution, this field can be global fields. So, as soon as I have this information, I have to compare this data with data from the guest table. I'm using it via a relationship. Let's zoom it a little bit. So, I'm comparing the information in the car ID field in the technique table with the ID car I have in the guest table. This relationship compares both fields, guest ID and car ID. So, via a script, I'm comparing those data and I'm checking if Sarah is inside or not. Let's see how can we do this using a very simple script. First, I'm scanning the tag using the configure NFC reading. This part is just validation to make sure that I'm using FileMaker Go. So I'm reading, I'm running this subscript called retrieve data. I have a timeout of 10 seconds and the result I need is in JSON. That's because I have a 1 here. Subscript, first of all, set a variable called parameters where I receive information from the main script. Then I set field in my text field with JSON. I want to read it easily, that's why I'm using the JSON format elements function here. I commit records and then I will check that the car is valid. Via this relationship, I'm checking if is there any related records. Using this found count field, let's have a look to this. This is an unstored field that using the getFoundCount function will return if is there any related record. Remember that we should mark this option, do not store calculation results. So if using this relationship we get a 1, it means that the car is valid. But if we get a 0, the car is not valid. That's because I'm using this not here. So if this happens, I will show a custom dialog, this car is not valid. Other thing that could happen is that the guest is inside. More or less the same. Using the same relationship, I'm checking the number field called is inside. If I receive a 1, it means that the guest is inside and I show a warning. If everything is correct, I need to show a friendly dialog that says Sarah, Tom, John, whoever, welcome. So I set a variable with the name using, again, this relationship. I set field to record that this person is inside. I commit and I show this dialog. So as you can see, using just one NFC card and a couple of scripts, I can have an access control to my party, to my event, or whatever. Just 2 tables and a few layouts. These are just some of the things that you can do using NFC tags and FileMaker. Buy some tags, try something new, and first and foremost, please don't touch. Thanks for watching.